And thanks so much for tuning in to Morning Live. And right now we're talking about a new political party on the block that is good. Now, the former City of Cape Town Mayor Patricia de Lille introduced her new political movement, Good, to the public yesterday during a press conference in Johannesburg. And according to the leader of Good, the new political movement will contest nationally in all 9 provinces in the 2019 general election. And this comes after the former City of Cape Town Mayor resigned from the Democratic Alliance earlier this year, and de Lille has been accused by her former party of turning a blind eye to corruption. And joining us now is Patricia de Lille, the leader of the Good political movement. Thanks so much for coming through, and good to have you in Johannesburg for a change.
Good morning to the good people of South Africa.
Well, I guess congratulations are in order, but no surprises. I mean, it was just a matter of time, because I think the writing was on the wall that there would be a new political party launched. But let's start with the name, Good. It's not an acronym, so what does it stand for? What does it mean?
That's exactly the attempt, not to have an acronym and not to have a name that's a party or an alliance, but really speaks to people rather than any type of political party. But it is informed by my vision for this country of being patriotic, wanting to bring hope. I believe that there are many good South Africans who would like to see our country succeed. But if good people do nothing, that's when evil, corruption, and all the wrong things triumph in our country. And to go out to mobilize the young people and experienced people, to bring them together and say, let's work together to save our country.
So let me get this correct, at least try to. So this is about good people.
Yes.
So, and what about the leadership of the movement?
Well, first of all, we have registered within IEC. The process is ongoing. We've got a constitution. And in terms of the constitution, what we will do is to elect interim leadership at the national level that will take us through to the elections. And then after the elections, within 18 months, we'll have a national conference where leadership will then be elected. So that is our plan, and also in January to announce our manifesto, the how part of how we see things need to be done in South Africa, and then also announce our premier candidates.
So many people were surprised that as Patricia de Lille, you actually decided to launch this or have this announcement yesterday in Gauteng as opposed to having it in the Western Cape.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Well, I was quite shocked and also surprised that people could ask a question like that. When we are trying to build, in terms of our own constitution, unite all South Africans within our diversity. And I choose Johannesburg deliberately because people want to reduce myself and the Good movement to be only a Western Cape movement. But I believe there are good people all over South Africa. And just to try to break that mold where people compartmentalize looking at the color of your skin and say, oh, yeah, no, she will get a lot of colored vote. When in fact, voters have moved on. Voters are very clever. They are looking at issues rather than the color of the skin of people.
So who are you hoping to capture as the people who will support the Good movement?
The emphasis really is on young people. I want to mobilize young people across the country. Like you've seen yesterday, they've already joined in their numbers to create an opportunity and a space for them where they are not only the future leaders, they are also the present. But what you find in existing political parties, they tend to recycle all the old politicians who only sit in parliament for the 15 years for their pension, deadwood. And I want to create a space for young people to go into the corridors of power and say nothing about us without us. So that is what I'm creating together with experienced politicians.
What does that mean practically? Because there are people who would accuse you of the very same recycling and deadwood who would say, but Patricia, your time has come and gone. Why don't you move along and make space for others? So what does that mean in practical terms for the Good movement? Does this this mean that will you be standing for the presidency of this party, or are you quite open to let others step in, young people for that matter?
Of course, that is the purpose of creating this. I'm not going to be there forever. I will move on, but I'm creating the space and the opportunity. So, Kenya, I've been fighting all my life, since a very young age, but I've always fought for a cause. It was never about personal gain for me. And even now, I will continue to fight to make sure that we deliver on the aims and objectives of our Constitution, but also to make sure that all the wrongs in our country and the impact of that on our youngsters. That's why in our policy themes that we have developed yesterday, we speak about spatial justice. First of all, our whole country is still defined by race and by space, and we have to deal with apartheid spatial planning. Then we speak about social justice, economic justice. If you look at the economic justice, you look at the feminization of poverty, you look at the unequal pay of women. Women bear the brunt of poverty today. And so within those themes, in the next few weeks, we will be sitting down and refining it. And then in January, we launch our manifesto. And so it's all work in progress. It's only 2 weeks ago when I announced that I will be forming this new political movement. And so there's been overwhelming support, including from the people that help us, professionals, help us with our branding, with the name, with the colors and all of that. And I'm internally grateful for South Africans, but because they are looking for an alternative. But I've also done research. You know, any decision must be based on scientific research. And there is quite a substantial percentage of South Africans who are tired with the status quo, who want to see change. And therefore, the argument, oh, there are too many political parties, people forget that it's only 24 years ago when political parties were not allowed, were banned in this country. And therefore, you must give South Africans a broader choice. We can't have a South Africa with a two-party state.
But what sort of alternative are you offering the South African electorate ideologically? Because, you know, we know Patricia de Lille from the PAC to the DA, and you've been here before starting a new party. But what's going to be different? What offering do you put on the table that differs from anything that is already there?
Yes. Sakina, when we fought in the struggle against apartheid, ideology was very important because that was a contestation for ideology. After 1994, 1996, we emerged with one of the best constitutions in the world. So really the content of any ideology must be within that framework. And if you read our constitution, you will see, especially in the Bill of Rights, it speaks about a social democratic South Africa. So we developing policies within that ideology of social democracy, but it's not just on an ideology, it's actually unpacking what does social democracy mean. And therefore the 4 themes, for instance, we also speak about environmental justice. Climate change is a major threat to our economy and all of that. So it is really trying to disrupt the existing political template in our country by putting focus on people rather than on the party.
You see, when you talk about disrupting the status quo, people are going to say, oh, sounds like EFF. When you talk about working within the already defined constitutional boundaries, people are going to be like, oh, but isn't that similar to what the ANC or perhaps even the DA already have to offer at this point? You know, but why Patricia de Lille? Why should anyone, after where you've been, where you've gone, what happened with the ID, and many people still feel that you sold out as far as the ID goes when you joined the DA, why should they give you another chance?
Let me start with, you know, how people box and you know, sort of label people. You know, whenever I wear something red, people say, oh, are you going to the EFF? The EFF has defined their space in South African politics, and so has other political parties. And the EFF disrupted like the way they behave in Parliament. And then you've got the Democratic Alliance, who are now trying to box me in with the EFF, saying that I am going to go into a coalition with the EFF, when in fact the DA is already in a coalition with the EFF, here in Tshwane and in Joburg. If they are not such hypocrites, why don't they just leave the coalition with the EFF? So those are all the kinds of labels. I can just say to South Africans, watch the space. We are going to be different.
So are you getting any support from former DA colleagues who have indicated that they will be joining this party?
Well, so far, three councillors have joined, and there are many others who have joined too. But we have said, you know, DA is history. What we are looking forward is to mobilize good South Africans to protect our country, and I am quite convinced that it's possible.
So, going forward, good. Again, you know, how is this going to be different from the Independent Democrats? People are saying what you are simply doing is thinning the vote out yet again, because you have to then once again go into coalition with someone, and this is ultimately just about your survival as a politician, as Patricia de Lille. Even if Good gets one seat in Parliament, that's all you want, so that it secures your future as a politician. How do you respond to that?
You know, if we must get only one seat, I will give it up. I certainly, I'm not doing this for personal gain. I can comfortably retire if I want to, but I cannot rest until my country and many more people in our country taste the fruits of our new democracy. Now, yes, coalitions are the future of South Africa. I've got great experience of working with Helen Zille in coalitions in many municipalities. And when Helen Zille and myself came together in 2010, we had agreed that we need to build an alternative to the ANC. So politics evolve and move forward, and that's how the ID and the DA came together to build this alternative. But the current leadership of the DA is only obsessed with themselves, and they're not looking at the bigger picture of building this alternative so that we can protect our democracy. I'm attempting it again to say that let's get together for the sake of our country.
Will you invite Helen to join Good?
Helen is going to retire, and we do speak a lot. I'm writing a book about all of this and my past 2 years' experience. And, you know, I will certainly be talking to her to make a contribution to my book.
So will you be inviting Helen to join Good?
No. Helen must decide for herself. Even all the other people that are joining us. I'm not going to make a fuss or a media statement about so many DA people has joined us, dump the T-shirts there, or EFF or ANC. No. People will have to make that clean break. They have to accept the values of the Good movement, which is truth and trust and solidarity and all of those good values that we stand for. Then they can join us.
Patricia de Lille, thanks so much for stopping by. And of course, the leader at this point, or the founder of the Good movement as it stands right now. This party will of course be launched in January, and we'll be keeping tabs on that going into the 2019 general election. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll have the latest news bulletin.